So, welcome. This is episode 6, September 15th, 2024, released at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And today's is called How I Became a Navy SEAL. Now, I'd like to make a quick disclaimer and say that I never actually was a Navy SEAL. I got kicked out of boot camp, but was never really in the Navy. But now that we've made that disclaimer, my schizophrenia developed sometime after I got kicked out of the Navy, which I got kicked out of boot camp for drugs, cocaine. This says carcane. That's for drag racing. But yeah, I got kicked out of boot camp. And when I left, they told me that I wasn't dishonorably discharged or honorably discharged. That I was simply just officially never in the Navy. So when I had my break, my first schizophrenic break over the next year, um, I came to the conclusion that being told I was officially not in the Navy meant I was some kind of Navy SEAL covert op out to right the wrongs of the astral realm in Pennsylvania, which later specifically became Montgomery Country. So, yeah, that's how an idea starts with the schizophrenic. Something real or realistic that contributes to some kind of fictitious world they just runs with. And I know it's not true. I know I wasn't a Navy SEAL, but part of me doesn't. Hence schizophrenia. So, yeah, so I thought this for years and did what I would do in the astral realm to try to bring stability to it because of all the communists and Satanists in it and gods. And then, let's see, well, where was I going with this? Oh, then years later, my mom decided to take us on a field trip to a military cemetery right down the road. And I think it's in Cherry Hill. And yeah, we got the nieces, my brother-in-law, my sister, my father, my mom. We went down there to put flowers on the graves of the soldiers. So we're walking along, putting my niece is putting flowers on the graves of the soldiers, whichever one she likes the best. You know, no real logic, just some get a flower, some don't. And then we pretty much did a straight line across the cemetery to what I immediately realized was a grave with my name on it. So there's my name, Paul Mellon. It says 1945 for the birth year, and then it has to have a death year. So naturally, I assumed this was on my own grave. Told my brother-in-law that I was a Navy SEAL, and that's why the grave was there. I think he still believes me to this day. But that's how things work with a schizophrenic. There's things that confirm reality, even though it isn't real. Of course, if I was a covert op Navy SEAL trying to save the astral realm, at this point, these blogs are exactly what I would be doing. So, do I believe it? Of course not. Do I believe it? Of course I do. So, that's just a little fun to get us started. Not trying to offend anybody. Like I said, never a Navy SEAL, not claiming to be a veteran or anything. But now, let's have some fun with the tape recorder because I love this thing. Let's see here. We got some comments about the astral realm here, and then we're going to close with a couple funny jokes about Trump. So let's just see what we got here. Huh? You got to turn it on.
They were wood elves until fairly recently when they got ostracized and became urban elves. And, yeah, Johan got ostracized and Johan came with them for Johan being the king of all free elven people. They decided they didn't want a king, so they kicked him out of the woods. Yeah, I think what's funny about that, well, they're imaginary elves that live down the street from me and work on a farm. In between the houses, there's actually imaginary space big enough for a farm. So that should give you a clue of just how crazy I am. And yeah, they're cool. Joe runs grown up now. He still skateboards, and Johan is distraught over becoming an urban elf. They both consider themselves disgraces, and you're not really capable of arguing with them that they're not. Would you ever tried to console a astral being? It's not as easy as you might think when they really feel they're a disgrace. So, mind you, I'm not talking about people you can see or touch or feel. You can certainly hear them and feel them and know they're there, but you can't really see them. So that's the thread I'm going on. So more into that in just a moment.
That was about Johan and Joe Run, who were referred to in episode 4, where I was reading from Joe Run, King of All Free Eleven People. And that's an interesting story if you want to check out. It's just an excerpt. The actual story is lost in a pile of papers. So it's an entertaining episode 4 if you want to check that out, referring to Johan and Joe Run from that story. And Johan's the Legion instead of the Free Eleven People, or at least he used to be till they ostracized him. So he governs in Joran's place, and Joran is, of course, king of all Free Eleven People, but not considered sane enough to be king without a legion instead. So that's where we're on that one. So we're just going to skip over this next one. That was kind of boring. Let's see here.
Now, I've just briefly named some astral selves I have a relation with, and I guess you're wondering how many are there? Well, the ones I have personal relationships with, there's quite a few. But since people can have more than one astral self attached to them, and there's many independent astral beings just living their own lives in the astral realm, it's actually got to be something like 6 or 10 times the amount of beings actually in the galaxy. So if you're beginning to experience the astral realm or just accepting that some of the stuff you hear, well, once you accept you're not crazy, it opens up a whole realm of possibilities to what the crazy stuff you think may or may not be true. So I know this one guy, Mike, we were sitting around, and I was talking to my astral people this years ago, and he said, yeah, when I was homeless, I had an astral kid following me around. So I said, yeah, I kick him out all the time. And I said, of course, Mika here will be the last one kicked out because he's the least important. At that moment, my lighter jumped off my pack of cigarettes, and we both saw it and couldn't deny it. So I've had multiple confirmations the astral realm is real. So if you want to think of it in a comedic way, or the way I'll express it if I ever end up in court, is imagination land, but really it's the astral realm. And most people interact with it on some level. And I believe we're all interacting with the same astral realm. And the Decantor, they're mentioned briefly in the story I just read. That would be an evil empire out to enslave all free people in the name of communism, Satanism, and for their outlying colonies that are trying to brainwash people with socialism, but really they're a communist satanic regime bent on making everyone suffer. So if you don't think I'm one of the good guys, I'm definitely one of the good guys. There was a war fought here on this planet where the Decantor were banished. And of course, this planet I believe to be Montgomery Country, because when the Earth exploded, yes, the Earth exploded for the 50th time. There's still 3 more Earths in case you happen to live on one. But I live in Montgomery Country, which became its own rock flying through the galaxy after
There's
the
no way to stop the recording, so
50th and
just hold up
49th
a
Earth
second.
exploded. And
There's no way to stop and
yeah,
start
and that turns
re-recording,
us from
so this is my garage
so now
opening.
it's been a board cube and to not deal with any of the dickhead astral people. I actually moved into the sewers of this board cube, so yes, I believe I live in a board cube, not just in a board cube, but in the sewers of the board cube, the 53rd subterranean level out of.
Alright, so that was about how, well, fucking A. I mean, the garage door opened and made a lot of fucking noise. So I gotta replay that one. And sorry for the disturbance. Please be quiet. So let's just go and restart that.
Now, I've just briefly named some astral selves I have a relation with, many are there? Well, the ones I have personal relationships with, there's quite a few. But since people can have more than one astral self attached to them, and there's many independent astral beings just living their own lives in the astral realm, it's actually got to be something like 6 or 10 times the amount of beings actually in the galaxy. So if you're beginning to experience the astral realm, or just accepting that some of the stuff you hear, well, once you accept you're not crazy, it opens up a whole realm of possibilities to what the crazy stuff you think may or may not be true. So this one guy, Mike, we were sitting around, and I was talking to astral people this years ago, and he said, yeah, you know, when I was homeless, I had an astral kid following me around. So I said, yeah, I kick him out all the time. And I said, of course, Mika here will be the last one kicked out because he's the least important. At that moment, my lighter jumped off my pack of cigarettes, and we both saw it and couldn't deny it. So I've had multiple confirmations the astral realm is real. So if you want to think of it in a comedic way, or the way I'll express it if I ever end up in court, is imagination land, but really it's the astral realm. And most people interact with it on some level. And I believe we're all interacting with the same astral realm. And the Decantor, they're mentioned briefly in the story I just read. That would be an evil empire out to enslave all free people in the name of communism, Satanism, and for their outlying colonies that are trying to brainwash people with socialism. But really, they're a communist satanic regime bent on making everyone suffer. So, if you don't think I'm one of the good guys, I'm definitely one of the good guys. Because there was a war fought here on this planet where the Decantor were banished. And of course, this planet I believe to be Montgomery Country, because when the Earth exploded, yes, the Earth exploded for the 50th time. There's still 3 more Earths in case you happen to live on one. But I live in Montgomery Country, which became its own rock flying through the galaxy after the 50th or 49th Earth exploded. And yeah, and then it turned into some kind of Borg cube. So now it's some kind of Borg cube, and to not deal with any of the dickhead astral people, I actually moved into the sewers of this Borg cube. So yes, I believe I live in a Borg cube, not just in a Borg cube, but in the sewers of the Borg cube, the 53rd subterranean level out of 55 levels. Of course, 55th level is mainly just the engines. We actually control the ship from my garage, if that makes sense. And the garage faces to the rear of the ship because in space travel, it's easier to see where you've been than where you're going due to the speeds that you're moving at. So, live in a Borg cube, in the sewers of the Borg cube, and the bridge is my den, and the garage is the engine room, and place the captain of the ship, who is the captain of the ship. His name is Captain, or Pilot, I forget which. Who is Pilot? Oh, Punch's Pilot. No, I never drew that link. So, therefore, he must really be just some guy named Pilot. If I was crazy, I would immediately name him Punch's Pilot. But, so there's that, yeah. Saying there's that again. There's that, and that, and that. I'm trying to make a point here. So, that's where we're at.
All right. So, of course, the garage would have opened on my longest recording yet. It's the Decatur. They're out to enslave us all. They made this timing happen, without a doubt. So now I have to close the garage because planes and crap are flying overhead. So just bear with me when I do that. Okay. Well, we got to lighten the mood now. It's time for a little funny story. One time I was locked up in a mental institution. This one guy claimed to be Jesus, Lucifer, and Satan. So I said to the guy, I said, hey, you can be whoever you want. Those are some great characters, but you can't be all three. You got to share. And he was insane, so he would not share and insisted on this delusion. So that last one was kind of long, and I played it twice, which really pissed me off because I don't know how to stop and restart the recording, and I don't know how to edit it. So yeah, if that part sucked, whatever. It's gonna get better. Uh, yeah, I live in a board cube. I mean, that doesn't sound that crazy. Yeah, always thought flat earthers were crazy. Of course they're crazy. The earth is a cube. At least if you live in Montgomery country. Otherwise, you're actually on some other planet or rock. Um, Probably some distance from Montgomery country because we went out to the boonies. Went as far away from everyone else as possible. Because most of the astral realm is very hostile. So if you're living in hostile astral territory, you just have to get rid of the Takatsu. Astrally, of course, not actually. So don't do anything crazy now. Not on my behalf. But let's see here. Let's see what we got up next. Let's see if any of this is any good.
Trump also can't up to what he says. So that's rather feminine of him. I kind of think of him as big bitch boy, his power suit. So look at me, I'm a power suit. I'm a big man. But no, he weighs 20 pounds heavier than me, if that, and looks about 5 times the size. And none of it's muscle. Because see, muscle weighs more than the fat. So I look pretty trim at 220 pounds, I think. Trim enough. And he's what, 238 pounds, right below obese. Was that the last thing they quoted him as? And yeah, he's just very feminine. Get him out of that power suit, and we can compare who has bigger tits, him or Kamala Harris. Now, that's funny. I can't really. That's funny. That's copyrighted. That's copyrighted. I can't say that. I take it back. I didn't mean to Larry the Cable Guy. Didn't mean to quote you.
So yeah, that's based on an earlier post in one of the earlier videos where we decided that Trump was feminine because I saw him playing tennis and he's got the big birthing hips and the big butt and kind of curvaceous. So if you're straight and worshiping Trump, you know, you're voting for him, you're having confusing feelings. Don't worry, you're not gay. No gay guys attracted to Trump. Apparently, porn stars aren't either. But still, what's my point? I don't really have a point. It's just kind of funny that he's supposed to be the epitome of masculinity, yet he's so damn feminine. Of course, I thought Obama was kind of feminine too, but looking back, he's actually pretty masculine. But yeah, so let's just see what we got next on here.
In fact, I'd say there's about a 98% chance that Trump either wears some form of bra, possibly built into the power suit, or some kind of girdle. I'm just going 98% on this. You know, he was quoted as saying, it doesn't matter what he's quoted as saying, he didn't really say it. I don't know how it works. So he did say that he thought you had a, can't quote him exactly, but a certain amount of exercise you could do in your lifetime before you died. And he's long lived. Of course, he has access to the best doctors. But, yeah, I don't think it works like that. Otherwise, Arnold Schwarzenegger would be dead. So there you go. Arnold Schwarzenegger, very masculine looking. Of course, I'd never support Arnold Schwarzenegger for president because he wasn't born in this country, which just rules him out. I mean, even if he's a great guy, we can't let anybody not born in this country be president, or else we'd be controlled by foreign powers forever. So there you go.
Okay, now I know what all you nutcases are thinking, but what about Obama? Well, I got that covered.
Yes, I'm aware there was a whole conspiracy about Obama being born in this country, which say he was born in Hawaii. Of course, he provided his birth certificate. I have to supply my birth certificate for menial jobs I get to support my own disability. And I'm sure they double checked that for the presidency. So that's just some bizarre rumor. If you believe that, you don't believe anything. Like they say, stand for something or you'll fall for anything. Fools, run, you fool. Am I allowed to quote people? That was from The Hobbit, one of the Hobbits. They're one of the Lord of the Rings. Are you allowed to quote people, or are we like that into censoring freedom of speech that you're not allowed to quote people? I don't know. I guess I'll find out when I get sued. I didn't mean it. I admitted it was your material. That's my material now. See, I didn't mean it. I didn't know it was your material. Yeah, I just trademarked that. So there you go.
You're not allowed to say that.
Things I say. Go ahead. I'm gonna subscribe. Of course, it's copyrighted. See, that's the thing. Stealing someone's whole work seems like copyright infringement to me. But just quoting a brief line they said, is that copyright infringement? I'm not sure. But I'll find out.
Indeed, indeed. So there we go. A little bit on copyright infringement. I quote some people sometimes, and I assume I'm allowed to quote people. No one ever told me otherwise. So we'll find out if I get sued. People into suing people. Why sue somebody? Unless you're seriously wronged, what's the point in suing somebody? People sue each other over the most trivial of stuff. So that's just another problem with our society that I'm not going to get too much into. But let's see here. What else we got? I think we're just about wrapped up here. Trying to keep these a little shorter.
Had to wake up to this. The bag's full.
Look at my parents sanding the floor of the house at 9:30 in the morning for no apparent reason. They just redo the floor sometimes. They're very hardworking people that are retired and still have to work, so they do things like start sanding the floor at 9:30 in the morning. But yeah, so I realize the videos might be running a little long. 30 minutes is a lot to ask. So I'm just going to go ahead and wrap this up. So, not actually a veteran, not actually a Navy SEAL. Hope I disproved that with some of my other thoughts. And not actually doing a covert operation to save the astral realm for my country and potentially the whole galaxy. But yeah, so there we are. But of course, I believe all that. I'm schizophrenic. But and this is exactly what I would be doing if I was a covert operative trying to save the astral realm. But yeah, so be sure to subscribe. And we're going to release it 7 p.m. September 15th. And there'll be another one tomorrow at 7 p.m. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. It's supposed to be funny, it's supposed to be comedic. Don't get too hung up on it being serious. And yeah, so we'll see you next time. So be well. That's from Demolition Man. Hopefully, I'm allowed to say it. And check you later. What the hell, man? Check you later. That's from Dazed and Confused. So if I say it, I guess I'm allowed to quote him. I don't know. Censorship's alive and well. Let's figure out how censored we are. Well, anyway, have a good one. Check you later. What the hell, man? Check you later.